Right, this program is a little bit harder. So the task is a multimedia catalogue to help identify and record sightings of birds common to the UK is being constructed. The software will contain coloured pictures and recordings of bird calls. It will allow the users to browse through the existing information to print off selected items. Part of the program will ask the users for the name of a bird and search a list of names to see if it exists. The part of the program described above will display the position of the name in the list. For example, if the name is third in the list, the number 3 is displayed. If the name is not in the list, a 0 is displayed. Use pseudocode to show how the section of program will search the list and display the appropriate value on screen. So what it's saying here is that you've got to input the name, it searches an array of birds, and it will output the position. It doesn't say positions, it says positions. So that means that ultimately there is only one of it. So again, we are going to look at how you do this, about you going through your initialize, your input, your outputs, then we do the for statement, and then we do the if statement. So we're going to do it in that order. So I want to write down what my variables are. So my name is my input. My array, it doesn't tell me specifically, so I'm just going to call it, it says here it says a list of names. So I'm going to change that to names, and I'm going to put my square brackets just so that I know it's my array. And what I've got to do is I've got to display the position. Now sometimes we think about it being counter, but here's the thing with this program. If the name is third in the list, the number 3 appears. So that actually means if it's at position 2, because you've got 0, 1, 2, that's the third item in the list. So I don't actually want to output the counter, I want to output the counter plus 1. So let's begin this program. So my first step, as always, is to initialize. I don't initialize my counter, I don't initialize my array, but I initialize my other variables. So I'm going to initialize my name, and I'm going to initialize the position. Name is a string, so when it's a string we set it equal to empty string. But what I'm not going to do this time, I'm not going to write this in Haggis, I'm going to write this just in everyday pseudocode. So I'm just going to write name equals empty string. I'm then going to take my position. Position is going to be an integer because position 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to say position equals 0. So that's me, I've already got a mark, because now what I've got is I've done my initialize. 2 things, I've got my mark. So now I need to do my input. So it asks the user to enter the name of a bird, so that would be my name, and I'm just going to write get name from user. Notice I'm taking some space here, kind of messing it up a wee bit. This is absolutely fine. And then it says if the name is third in the list, number 3 is displayed. If the name is not in the list, a 0 is displayed. So I've got my position is equal to 0, and I've got I either display the number or I either display a 0 or I display the number that it is. But I've set my position to 0, so all I'm really going to do is display position. I don't actually have to do an if statement for that. Because I've set it to 0, that means it's not found at the start. If it changes, where it's found, and then it doesn't tell me to display a message, it just says display the position. I'm happy, so I've now got a mark for this one as well. So now it's time to look at my for. Now, like we said before, I'm hoping you have looked at the previous one for this, your for statement is always the same. It's for each counter in, and then the name of your array. So the name of my array is names. So there's my for statement. My if statement is going to be if my array, my position in my array, is equal to what's been input, because I want to know if the bird's name is in the list. So what I've entered is name. So my if is if, and remember it's always the array at position counter always that. It's just the next bit you've got to think about is equal to name. And then I do my then. Well, what is it I want it to do? I want to set it to counter, but remember counter always starts at 0. So what we're going to do is we're then going to say position equals counter plus 1. So we're no longer at 0, 1, 2, 3, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's us. I've now written that code. All I now need to do is put that together. So I'm going to take my initialize, and because I can do a wee copy and paste here, that's what I'm going to do. I'll just write 1 and do my wee tab. There's position. I now do 2. So I've done my initialize. The next step you do is always your input, but I've done my input. There it is. So 3. Now you know that your next one is your for statement. So I'm going to copy and paste it up. Notice what my mouse there slipped. So glad I spotted it. So I put in my 4. And then it's my position. That's my do something. Oh. And of course, I've went and forgot my if statement. Copy my if statement. Put my indentation. Remember always my end if. With the help of my keys, my fingers on the right keys. End if. Remember my end for. And then finally, I've just got my display. That one there isn't too bad. That's for 6 marks. So how do we get our marks? So you're getting 1 mark for initialize, 1 mark for input, then 1 mark for your display. There's your for, your if, and setting your position to be counter plus 0. Now if you go through these a few times, you're going to spot the things that make them all the same, and that's what you need to do more and more practice doing your pseudocode style questions.